Okay, so I'm going to do another crystal read on Stephen Miller. For those who do not know, or who are not aware, or whatever the case may be, whatever word I was trying to say before I lost it, go and watch Adrian from Red Lentil Healing. She did a reading on, um, what's this fool's name? Stephen Miller. If you want to call him Ryan Miller. Stephen Miller's, she did a chakra reading on Stephen Miller, which prompted me to then wonder, where is, what is his heart like? What is his life like? Like what makes him tick? What makes him happy? What makes him sad? What gets him up in the morning? Why is he the way he is? Let's see what the crystals have to say, and then we follow it up with the tarot to sort of check our work, see how accurate we were. So, Stephen Miller, you're deflecting already. I ain't even asked a question yet. So, Stephen Miller, why? Let's just get some general info. Stephen Miller. Something deep rooted, because this comes from way back. Um, Here there is a corruption of past. So maybe this is a corruption of childhood, but there's a corruption of past. He was a teenager though, so this is something happened to him early on in early years. There is also so the word I'm getting is monsters. Like he's afraid of monsters. So there is something about, maybe he was assaulted. Maybe he was he's afraid of groups of people like gangs, and he's afraid of, he's afraid at his core, period, of people, which is causing the rash reaction. But here is the past. This is teenager, so we're not going past teenager as it curves and stops. So I think his early childhood, he was possibly fine. But in his teen years, around 14, he experienced a trauma here. Um, but I don't know exactly what it is. It's not, it's, it might be an attack of some sort, like something sharp, something of that nature. It's some sort of swift thing, some sort of attack. He was cut off from something. Maybe somebody around him was attacked, or maybe a best friend was killed in front of him, or something of that nature. But he has an attack here, and thus he separates himself from his past. So something he's trying to suppress. But there's something about monsters, like he's afraid of monsters. Um, so let's go in his head. Let's go in his head. So Stephen Miller and monsters. What is this about Stephen Miller and monsters? There's monsters. um, There's a wheat field, a cornfield, or something where there's a lot of grass or a lot of something, but it's all yellow grass. So it's wheat or something, dead grass or something like that. Old farmhouse. So he's possibly plagued by nightmares, basically. The nightmares are a result of suppressed emotion. He has a suppressed emotion and is, does he take, he doesn't take a medicine or anything, but he has night terrors. But I get that It's a part of his reality. It is literally monsters. Like I'm not saying like people. He sees them as monsters. No, this is like actual monsters. Like something that he is conjuring up in his mind to be afraid of. Because all of the shapes that keep coming to me are shapes of something unnatural. So there's actual monsters that he is afraid of. And it is always something from the past that was suppressed. So this is a suppressed emotion that's coming up as night terrors. So what is this suppressed emotion exactly? His mother. What about his mother? Something about he didn't feel protected at some point in his life. As a teen, as a 14-year-old. I don't know why he blames it on the mother exactly, but there's something about the mother, and he doesn't feel protected. He doesn't feel encased, which is because I keep getting the wound. He doesn't feel as though she had him covered. He was not safe from something. So let me ask this. Was he sexually assaulted? That's crazy, man. I think he was. And this is part of the foundation when you get groups of the stone like that that's talking about foundation or nostalgia or something like that. But it's probably someone in the family, someone connected to the mother, and he was not saved. So how does that translate to who he is now, though? It doesn't. This is well, it does and it doesn't. The mistrust and the assault is here in the past. So this when it's this far away, we're talking past. But the new alliances, once he turned away from here, is what caused him to be who he is now. He was a person who didn't have an identity, or his identity was stripped, as he was not, he didn't feel safe anymore. So once that part of him was stripped, then he found new alliances, or he found new points of alliance. Like these people accepted him in his condition, and he then sort of conformed to who they were. And there's multiple avenues of attack. It is meant to marginalize. So here is like racism and all of that. It is meant to marginalize. So it is the alliances that he has is meant to be hateful. This is not just some childhood trauma. This happened. He didn't feel connected or protected by the people around him. Thus, he clung to these people here, who sort of gave him a new lease on life, and then they have new points of attack, which is everybody's under the scope. Black, white, Jewish, Mexicans, everybody. Because these are sort of these little cult groups that go and call themselves white supremacists and all that. So let's get in his head a little bit more. What else can you tell me first before we move on? something from afar. Foreign influence, so he admires a foreign influence of some sort. Something from afar. Something that's no longer here, though. So, because when I see the word stars, and so this is heaven, basically. So whoever has passed on, which is heaven is just a word for just passed on, not necessarily that they're in heaven, but they've passed on. He's admired someone who is no longer here. There is here I get the word meteor, like something hits and causes force. So this is like overwhelming something that's this is the rallies. Like he might be behind some of these rallies as well when it comes to people walking around in hatred, like the Charlottesville and something like that. He's behind those type of things, or he is behind the people who are behind that type of thing. Here we of course have a group and foundation. So this is where he draws his strength. He himself is not powerful. He draws his strength because he is broken on the inside. He draws some strength from those around him. So, what makes him tick? What makes him happy? What makes him sad? Let's see what we get. Silence makes him happy. I think there is something in his head that does not turn off. There's probably a trauma. And it's not just past trauma, but it's trauma period. Like he's had periods of years from 14 to 27 or 14 to 20 something. I see the word 20 something, but it's 14 to 20 something where he's had series of trauma. So he was constantly traumatized. But a cone of silence because his brain doesn't turn off and it replays bad memories. There's also causing pain is a thing. Here I get like a sickle and a scythe. So causing pain also brings him some sort of malevolent joy because he is going through it himself, and hurt people. What makes him happy? Getting what he wants, but it is always in short supply, so he is constantly in a period of not happy. But getting what he wants. He also has some sort of like fetishes and things of that nature. That's anyway. But silence and pain. That's what makes him happy. Or yeah, no. Yeah, that's what makes him happy. Well, what makes him sad? Oh, ain't that interesting? That's all that would come out. Like, okay, for those who don't know, when I do this, something will tell me when to stop, right? And I'm not getting that, but this is what comes out. So, isolation, loneliness. Isolation, loneliness. Because his brain is his enemy. So, isolation, loneliness makes sense to me. So that's what makes him sad. So let's see. What we get. What makes him tick? Who is he? And then we'll do what makes him happy, sad. So who are you? Why are you the way you are? Nine of Swords. There's the Nightmares. We have Page of Pentacles, Justice, Death, and King of Swords. There is a man early on, probably a grandfather, who passed on, that he was drawn to, or that he confided in, or that he loved very much here as the kid with the page. But he passed on at an early age, transitioned. Here is the Nightmares, and then here is him basically hiding away with that Four of Cups. The Seven of Wands is defending against naivety. There's the Fool, so sort of trying not to trust anymore, because I think that's where his nightmares first started. And the Five of Swords, there is the Bully and the Unfair Advantage. The Ace of Wands, which is the card I have for weapons, so this is force. And the Five of Wands, which right after that is fighting, and then the Queen of Swords, which is vindictiveness. So there is his desire to cause pain here. There is also coming off of those nightmares once he got with the bullies, once he got with the people of force. Yeah, like it said, the people of force, that's when he became who he is now. The Lovers, the Towers, the Moon, and the Knight of Pentacles. There was someone close to him that let him down, as with the Lovers card and the Tower. You get the Moon, so there is an issue here. Things are not quite as they seem. Knight of Pentacles, this is the reliability, so the reliability was not there. So he does have a past trauma. He did get with the people of force and bullying. And there is those nightmares, just like I said. So what makes him happy, what makes him sad? What did we get? Silence is something he covets because he has night terrors. So when his brain is quiet, he enjoys that. He enjoys also being a bully because that was his first. He believes that those, and look at that. Look at it falls out. The devil in defending. He believes that those people who taught him how to be hateful loved him more than the people who let him get hurt as a child. So, being hateful and silence makes him happy. What makes him sad? Isolation, loneliness. So, we'll pull 4 for each and see if we were right or not. That's what makes him happy. This makes him sad. Let's see. Sad. What did I say? Isolation, loneliness. So we have 3 of Wands, the Hierophant, the 2 of Wands, and Death. There is a, well, what makes him sad? There is a dramatic change. Dramatic changes worry him. These wands are throwing me off here. The 3 of Wands and the 2 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is nearing completion. This is making progress. The Hierophant is traditions, morals, and conformity. And he has no problem with conforming to extremists. And the 2 of Wands is preparations, plans, blueprints. And then death is death, and transformation, transition. So what is this saying? I'll come back to this. What makes him happy? Six of Swords, Knight of Wands. There's a card of force here. And Nine of Pentacles. This is greed and security. So being secure. The Eight of Swords is powerless, but this is like trapped and bound. This is like being bound to something. So like his little brotherhood. Because the Six of Swords is transition. That's how we start. So we go from bad time to good time. So his connections. His connections make him happy. Now what is this going on over here? I tell you what we do. Let's just do a whole reading on the feelings of this child. What's the child name? Of Stephen Miller. So Stephen Miller, what makes you sad? How does one invoke feelings out of Stephen Miller? How does one invoke feelings from Stephen Miller? Ace of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. There's it, Hierophant again. I think it's the past. I didn't get the Six of Cups, though, but I'm going to go with the past. Because the Hierophant is about traditions, morals, it can be agencies, something that's hard to change, like a church or government or something like that. But it also is something that people lean on in times of need, that you have this protection that comes from this agency, that comes from your government, or comes from a church, or comes from something like that. And I'm going to do a reading around this card, because he feels this connection to the way things are supposed to be. Why is the Hierophant so prevalent? Why is it here so much? He's got a serious problem with his mother. I don't know if she's alive or not, but he's got a serious problem with the mother. Here with the Knight of Swords, the chaotic energy, the Four of Cups, that sort of hiding away in this card, or trying to get away, or this boredom, this melancholy, this despondency is indifferent. again, this Hierophant, this morals and traditions, and something that was meant to protect. That didn't. So he has a past trauma, and I guess instead of dealing with it, takes it out on the rest of the world. Oh, Lord. Stephen Miller. I knew somehow or another you would confuse me. That's all.